Hey guys, welcome to Muskie Road Rules Podcast and Patreon. Guys, thanks for listening every week on the audio channels. You can find it on anywhere you find your podcast. iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart. We're on all of them, so check us out. Also, for the Patreon people, you can go to patreon.com and become a member and actually watch what we're doing here. We've got a lot of cool stuff. Been on about a year and a half now, so we got I don't even know how many we've got recorded, but it's a bunch. So, but if you join and become a member, it's $8 a month. It's super, super easy. You also, not only do you get all the episodes that we recorded, but you also get entered into the drawings for once a month for our bait giveaways. This month, Brendan from Big Action Baits, who was on back in April, he's donating one of his gliders. This is a Cisco glider that he's got. Some of the coolest paint jobs you're ever going to find on a glide bait, guys. It's super, super cool. And again, Brendan from Big Action Baits is doing that. We're going to draw at the end of the month. And whoever the lucky winner is, that's a member of the Patreon. Again, $8 a month. You can be entered to win that. So it's going to be something really cool. On the podcast today, we've got someone that's been on quite a few times before, a friend of mine up there in Northeast Wisconsin. We've got Mr. Bryan Schaeffer. Bryan, how's it going, buddy?
What's happening, Greg?
Oh, not too much. Let's talk about it. How has the season been? We'll do from, what I call I'm probably always going to call opener, which is the Memorial Day weekend there in northern Wisconsin. How has things been shaping out for you?
Well, that's exactly what I call opener too. So that's when we started. To be honest, it's been a tough opener. Right before.
We've heard that from a lot of people.
Right before the opener, our average temperature was 40s, 50s. One day it jumped up into the 80s. It stayed up there for 3 weeks, and the last 2 weeks were in the 50s. And I woke up the other day, it was 37 degrees. So it's been a roller coaster, but we're getting fish in the boat. You just got to work a little harder.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been hearing, not just from you, but Minnesota. I've heard that. I've heard it from guys out east. I've been hearing it, all over Wisconsin. And it's one of those deals where, I just think you get those weird springs like that.
Mm-hmm.
I always say, I think it'll be a good spring for the Tigers, because I'm sure there were muskies and pike up there at the same time this year.
Exactly.
And it's kind of the baby boomer of the tiger muskie you'll see here in the next, next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. You might see a year class of tiger muskies come up. Which is what kind of happened on St. Clair when I was there, that weird tiger explosion they had right before I left. There was like the 8 years I was there, we kind of watched them grow up. And at when I first got there, I caught some like 28, 29-inch tigers, and shit, when I left 8 years later, we caught like a 47-inch tiger.
Sure.
And there were days where you'd go out in certain areas. If you hit a patch of them, you'd catch 7, 8 tiger muskies, and they all be like
that.
Yeah, they'd all be like 38 to 45 inches. It was
Wow.
actually wild to see that. And you get those weird springs, and I think that's just the way it goes. But the opener, the traditional opener, northern Wisconsin, what were you seeing like water temp wise then?
Anywhere from like mid upper 60s to low 70s.
Okay.
She got like really warm fast.
Yeah. What was the warmest temps that you've seen this spring so far?
Maybe 76, 77.
Oh, wow.
And that was in some shallow bays, so it was
midday, probably dark water too.
Right. Even some of the clearer deep waters we seen it get up to 72, but after dark, when we ended up leaving, it was down to 67 already. So 68. So
yeah.
They up pretty quickly.
Oh, I get it. So what has been, I know you fish a lot of the darker waters there in your area, but I mean, what's been working for you? I mean, have you done good on the Clear Lakes, or has it been mainly seine stuff? What have you seen?
The dark waters at first started off hotter as normal,
Mm.
I thought we'd do okay on some of the clear lakes, maybe getting some pre-spawn, which we could have if we would have started at the early season, I'm sure. But no, but the rivers started off pretty hot. As normal, I always start off on flowages or a river coming into the flowage. We've seen a couple big fish. We got one nice one. We run a little mini tournament, and so that was pretty cool seeing what everyone else was doing out there in lakes. But basically, all the darker waters had all the action, which is typical, early spring. But lately, some of the deeper clear lakes, like we were on yesterday, we were starting to get some action, and there's some fish starting to move out deep. We started seeing that too more when it was warmer. But now that's cooling down, they're really tucking into the weeds hard.
Yeah. So like right now when you guys are out there, are you guys targeting like real shallow weeds, or are you trying to do edges, or
we're on the edges. We tried a little real shallow, picked up a couple real small stragglers in there and some pike. Most of the larger fish we're getting are coming off the edges.
Okay.
So,
how is the weeds with all this, with the cool weather to start?
Some lakes, they're not bad. They came up pretty quickly, with all that warm weather we had. But I would say generally they're a little behind still. It's still, certain areas where they're pretty high by now, they're still a little behind. But they're decent overall.
Yeah.
For all the lakes, it's pretty decent.
Yeah, I got a feeling the same thing's going to be here. Canadian Opener is in a couple of days, and we'll be out for that. And I got a feeling we're going to see some not great weed growth to start out. But I mean, we did have that warm weather. But I would say it's definitely behind up here. I got a video from one of the resorts probably about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And it was muskie spawning by the dock. Jeez. So I think we're definitely going to be a week behind, even though if you go out there and maybe see higher water temps, I got a feeling that it's going to be a false reading, and those fish, even though you think, oh, it should be, bucktails, all the good stuff, I got a feeling that, that water temp is going to be lying to you on, kind of the actual mood of the fish.
And that's exactly what we're seeing up here, We're still, usually by now, the third week in June, third week in June, we're early summer patterns. And which probably, if it would have stayed warm, might have been the case. But because it's such a cold spring, it's just, and now this cold weather came in, we're still using these baits that are opening day, spring, small baits.
What baits are working right now?
Well, I got a couple here, Greg. One that's been really hot is this little square 6-inch slammer as the rattles in.
Okay.
That one's been pretty hot. You can get it down a little deeper. So typical 6-inch, 7-inch twitch baits.
How are you twitching them? We had Clayton on. I talked to Clayton Spees, and twitch baits had been working for him. How are you working those things?
Very erratic. Basically ripping them, and then once you get them down, I'm just snapping my tip a couple times, so it kind of dances around and then stops, floats up a little bit, rip it down, but just as erratic as possible. Every once in a while, I'd let it float up to the surface. Especially if you're in shallow water, rip it down, rip in the weeds, feel it, snap it out, and let it float up to the surface. Because a lot of times, as soon as it comes up, they'll just come up and grab it. Especially if they're in a negative mood like they are.
Yeah. How is it has been making contact with the weeds? Getting bringing some weeds in on the bait every once in a while. Has that kind of been the
yes. You don't even have to finish that sentence. Yes, it has been. I was telling that to the guy I had out yesterday. He's complaining. I'm like, you have to. They are tucked in these weeds hard, and they'll come out a little bit, but they're cold and they want to stay in that blanket,
Yeah. So, are you getting many follows, or is it mainly just bites?
No, bites.
Yeah.
And if they're follows, they're very slow. In fact, a lot of the larger fish we've been seeing this year have just been super slow. Some really nice fish, but real slow follows on the larger fish. But no, it's either bite or nothing. So
yeah, that makes it hard for guys that like come up there on a trip for a couple of days or something. You being out there, all the time, you got confidence in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, there's definitely fish here, and you got a guy like me that's coming over for a tournament, and you're trying to cover water and figure out where fish are. It's one of those deals. You're like, God, do I keep working this? I know
Right.
it looks good, but am I just wasting my time
Exactly.
doing it? And that to me is a very hard thing to do on lakes that you're not super familiar with. And it's one of those things that I'm really hoping changes by the BMTT, because it's, we've got areas, there's areas I got confidence in. I've fished over there 20 years now in this tournament or more. And so you got areas that you're like, yeah, there should be fish here. There's usually fish here, but it's still one of those deals you're going through it. You're like, am I just totally wasting my goddamn time over here right now?
Right. I mean, I've been seeing this basically since COVID. Every year it just seems to get less and less action. You're either catching, you just don't see as many fish. And then if you do, it's always on a window, a weather change. I mean, it's been really, every year it seems to be more drastic on that. But I mean, for confident wise, if you just look at current areas and then wind blown and there's nice weeds there, you just got to stick with it,
Sure. How's your watercolor? I know you guys have been getting a bunch of rain.
It's decent. I mean, she started off crystal clear. A lot of the lakes were just super clear because there was no weed growth, but now the weeds are starting to come up and everything, and it's starting to normalize. The colors are, I would still say majority of the lakes are a little clearer than normal. But
yeah, you probably like a little darker colored water anyway in some of those areas.
Yeah, certain for sure. Yeah.
And the clear lakes, I'm sure, in the spring, I'm sure they're just crystal clear.
Yeah.
Before any kind of algae or any kind of thing like that helps you out a little bit. What else has been working for you?
Well, gliders. Early in the year, we were talking here. I got two different gliders. I got the blunt nose from Chaos, and then Phantom. If you can find them, they're still around there out there. But
yeah,
they both work different, and they've both been working as of lately. The Chaos one, because it just gets a little deeper, so we're trying to get them deeper. But the Phantoms, I see they work a little more erratic and they're a little shallower. You can work them deep with the weights, you screw on a weight or whatever. But I work them very erratic to keep them up, kind of popping on the surface. When they're a little more active, they're coming up for these. But these blunt nose get a little deeper, so you can work them right over those deep weed edges and everything. And they've been showing us fish.
So those blunt nose there, when you're working this is something over the last, probably 7-8 years for me with gliders. I used to always want to see it. I knew it was going side to side, but in my head, I had to see the damn thing to know if it was going side to side. Now I'm actually working a lot more of them slower, especially in the South, and getting them down 7-8 feet if I can, and just in my head going, yes, it's gliding. Yes, it's gliding. Is that what you're doing with that blunt nose? Are you getting it down there a little deeper,
much,
or can you still see it?
Yep, just slowly, but still, even with my gliders, I'm working them just like the twitch baits, very erratic. I get a lot of guys, they're too rhythmic they have the same rhythm through the whole work, just boom, boom, boom. And I like to change it up, a couple speed knocks in there, and then go back to boom, 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 pause. But it's all slow right now because they are tucked in those deep weeds. And I mean, you can feel as soon as they take a weed, you just snap them, and a lot of times you'll get you get smacked right there. So
sure. And a lot of those green weeds like that, especially being new right now, you can snap them off if you give them a good enough pop. Yep. And that's something there. I found too, by working them deeper, coming to the boat, giving them like little up twitches with my rod, and as it comes up, it's almost like the crankbait deal where they'll grab it as it comes up.
Sure.
I've actually found it being pretty effective doing it that way. But it's a very, very, I mean, it can be painstaking though, and I'm like, oh God. And it's hard, guiding, especially fishing with clients and stuff, getting people to, because you want to see it. You want to know if it's working right.
Yep.
And that's the thing with those baits. But I've learned letting them get down. I know a lot of river guys I talk to, especially like in West Virginia and stuff, were doing that, and one guy I knew was doing really good on glide baits, and I'm like, God, I just cannot get them to go. And he goes, I'm letting them get down, and we're literally working them 8, 9, 10 feet down, and
all the currents and stuff there.
Yeah, using real heavy glide baits,
Yep.
like really weighting them, and those fish were just hugging the bottom, and that's how they were getting those fish to go. And I played with it on the lake, especially cave running times, and it's really really worked for me. But those gliders like that, it looks like I noticed you're throwing natural colors. Has it kind of been a natural thing instead of being loud body?
Pretty much. I'm big natural. I'm not a super bright. I mean, when things are hot, I'll go bright, but when they're a little picky, I like natural. So, and then two I picked were just happen to be the natural ones. But so far this spring, everything's been coming on natural colors. Yeah. And to go back to what you were saying with the deeper ones, I mean, it's the same pattern that we use in the late fall too, with larger glide baits and just slowing them down and getting them real deep down there too.
Yeah, getting those neutral. Have you heard much trolling up there? Have you heard much guys doing anything?
No, I haven't heard much at all.
Mm-hmm.
I know a few guys doing it, but no, nothing in return. So
yeah,
like I said, I think they were going to start moving out there pretty good when we had that heat wave. The Ciscos were coming up, and we're getting some action out there. But then that's cold front hit, and there's a few fish out there, but they're pretty negative right now, and everything kind of tucked into the weeds. So,
what have you seen for like bugs? Are you seeing much of a bug hatch?
Some mayfly started coming up earlier, and no, lately, I mean, actually certain lakes will go by certain lakes, and the mosquitoes are really bad. Like by my house here, I probably counted 3 or 4 mosquitoes in the last, since spring. So the bugs aren't bad at all, but the hatches, no, there's not much of a hatch happening yet.
Well, we'll send you some from up here in the Northwest Angle, because they are absolutely, they're horrendous. Our neighbor up here, Jordan, we've been buying this bifin stuff, which is, I'm sure, is toxic in 48 countries.
Sure.
And we are spraying this stuff. I mean, and they're just, it works. But one, you got to get dry before it'll really do anything. But we've been spraying it. But I mean, doing any kind of yard work, going out and mowing the yard is just, full, like, sun hood up, hands covered, legs covered, because they've
keep
just
them up there.
Oh my God, they are. You go and you like smack one on your arm, and you get like a big blood patch. You're like, oh, that baby's been eaten.
It's kind of crazy. Like some lakes around here, we go and no mosquitoes. Other launches you put in, they're just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's not bad. But
no
lake flies or no mayflies yet. I haven't seen a few of them, but no big hatches yet. So that's still coming up.
Really? Huh. Well, good deal. What any other baits that you've found that have been working for you?
Coming from the glide bait, and I have something here. It's basically just a swim bait. We were talking about it, which is basically a glide bait, a crankbait. It's a little bit of everything, but this has really been knocking some fish out. And it's so easy to use. Guys that have a hard time with glide baits, I give them this, and they can just reel it in. Reel, stop, and it glides like anything. So.
Yeah,
paddles in it. This just happens to be a crappie pattern, but it's about 6 inches long. But
yeah, those big bass. Those are just the big bass glide baits. And I've been talking about those for a few years now, and they're the easiest thing. If you're someone out there that can't work a glide bait or getting into glide baits, if you want the easiest one ever made, get some of those big and you don't have to pay. I mean, if you start. Like if you go to like Tackle Warehouse or something, you start looking at these things, you're going to be sticker shock on some of them because
if you go down that rabbit hole, you can spend some money.
Oh my God, the glide bait guys. It's musky bait prices and then some.
Oh, for sure. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, holy crap, they're spending more on those than our.
Oh yeah, I mean, some of those. Get up into the couple $300 range, and it's absolutely
These were
crazy,
pretty
but
cheap.
you can find them. You can find them cheap. Hell, I seen those right there. I seen at Walmart before I left Kentucky. Somebody, who was it? Berkeley. I think it was Berkeley was making them.
Okay.
The fantail ones, and it was that exact same bait right there with the swivel hooks on them.
Yep.
On the bottom, and they I think Berkeley was actually, it was on an end cap at Walmart.
That's crazy.
But
They're
yeah.
great hooking baits too, you know.
Oh yeah, no. Typically, if you're on a lake where the fish haven't seen that style, they don't nip them. I mean, they knock the living hell out of them.
Many fish on them, so.
And they're really, really nice, and they last. I mean, they're solid. They're a plastic bait, and some have rattles, some don't. You can get into some of the glide bait dorks, and you can get them poured. They pour them out of resin, or they'll pour them out of some of them are wood and all that stuff. And usually the paint jobs, you start getting, it's just like musky fishing. You get into the high end musky baits, and the paint jobs are just like works. I
got some larger ones from that guy that makes some custom gliders and stuff from Minnesota. I can't think of the name of it, but that's pretty sweet too. But it's quite a bit larger.
Yeah. I know Joe Peterson that makes True Glides. He's gotten into making those. He sent me one, actually, one of his first ones. It was a
perch?
It's a bluegill.
Okay, I got the yellow perch.
Okay, yeah. How's that been for you?
Not this year. Actually, we got some fish on it.
Yeah.
Sweet
bait. No, they're just I feel like I need a cigarette while I'm throwing it, because they're just works of art. You're just sitting there admiring it, feeling important. What anything else been working for you?
Yes,
diaperize or?
So and I think I showed this on one of the talks we did last time, but when they were moving out, and even on some of the deep weeds, we're taking the smaller Red October tubes, and then I put this bigger twister on.
Okay.
Jim Denbeck makes these custom twister tails here, but we're putting these on there, and that's because these fish are staying, even though we're in 40, 30 feet of water, they're still up in that first 10 foot of the surface. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been using these, and these been really good. Been working out pretty well for us. So, and I'm
now on those, are those does that grub come on that hook, or did you push it up in there?
No, I pushed it right on there. You just put a hole through it with a wire or something, and then stick that in there, and then put one of the hooks kind of through like that.
Okay. Yep.
And
now, do you find
that stabilizes the bait too, so it's not rolling all over?
Mm-hmm.
And it falls a little slower too, so you can really work it and keep it up high.
The one thing about a tube I've always said is that, when a tube is naked, basically just the regular rig that you got in it, unlike your other rubber, like your Medusas and your dogs and stuff like that, when you stop pulling them, that tail kind of slows it down on the fall. Well, tubes being round, they'd fall just as fast. And I think early on, that was when you were missing a lot of fish on them. Right. And there would be times that I'd have a guy throwing a tube for a while that was naked, and I'd pull it in, and it'd just be ripped to shreds.
Oh, yeah.
Did you have a bite?
How many times I've seen that already?
Oh yeah. Did you have a bite? Well, I felt something weird. I go, you had a bite.
Yeah.
Because it is a different bite sometimes. I mean, they'll hit it on the way down or as the thing falls, and they'll grab it so quick and let it go so quick that you don't even realize what the hell happened.
My client yesterday, we were having that conversation because I was kind of teaching them on how to use rubber and how to slack line it and rip it, but still keep the line tight, because the second they grab it, if you don't have, even though your line's slack, it's still tight. You've got to feel everything, because in that split second where it's just looped up and nothing, you're you won't even know you got a hit. And just like you said, I've had customers, I want something different. I get it. I'm like, well, you lost something already on this one. All chewed up. You never even knew it.
Oh yeah. No, I always say new rubber never lies.
Yeah,
It'll definitely do that for you. How are you working the like those tubes and stuff? How are you doing that?
kind of just snapping them and letting a nice drop, because they are dropping slowly with the tail and everything. And they're, I use sometimes the mid, but the lighter bodies on them. It's some custom ones with heads, smaller heads on them and everything. So kind of just snap, and then we're just letting them drop, kind of flutter. And of course, that's when they're smacking them. So you look kind of
last year I played a lot with the shallow rig, but putting the chaos weight on the front.
Okay.
And did really well with that. I don't know if it mattered at all, but you basically got a pull from the front, but you got that drop that you get with a regular tube rig like the one that you have there. And
you were putting it on the hook or the top?
The hook.
Okay.
The hook. Yeah, that I love those chaos weights.
Yes.
You can put them on so many different baits besides rubber. You can put them on crankbaits. The Dying Dog that I did, I love that with a chaos weight on there, and you can really get baits into different zones and stuff pretty quick. And you can even, there's certain, some crankbaits, if you take a knife and you whittle them out a little bit, if you whittle the hole out a little bit, you can get them on cranks. Slammers for one, because they got a bigger are really nice because they have that the hook hanger is a little larger. Yep. And you can make them fit on there. Really nice.
You're putting those on 10-inch?
Yeah. And I've done it on the little 5-inch, just like the one you had, the 6-inch one there, but the little 5-inchers. For trolling them, I found if I got
a nice long.
Yep, they have a really long hook hanger on there. And then the other thing is for trolling, sometimes if you get a bait that just will not troll for you and you want to use it, hang a little weight on that front hook, and that'll kind of keel it a little bit and keep it down for you.
Sure.
And that's a good way there. Have you been doing much on diving rise, or have you been throwing much diving rise?
A little bit. No, I really haven't. And maybe I haven't thrown it enough. We've been getting some action on what we're throwing. We were throwing a little yesterday, and I had a upper 30s come flash up on a 9-inch Suic, but otherwise not a ton. And even bucktails are starting to come around. They started pretty hot, and now they kind of tapered off a little. Not really hot, but we're getting some smaller fish on them. And those were slow rolling. The ones that we're catching more fish on are basically just spinner baits, though, because we're getting them right in the weeds. Like the old Ace. This is just one of my favorite spinner baits.
The old Ace, the Ace tandem. Those things work so good. Those
exactly.
I've been throwing the lippy ones, which have tinsel on them, and that's what last year in the championship in Iowa. That's what we got. The first day we got 5 fish, and they were all on the same old chartreuse lippy, which is it's an Ace style bait.
Yep.
The vibration and stuff. That size too. Have you been getting fish on the bigger size one?
Yep. This one and the size down, but this one actually we've been catching more fish on.
So, on the pink one?
Pink, yep. And the flow. Yeah. It's one of my favorite patterns, And on these A's too, you always want to put a Ziploc there on them, because it's just a rubber band, and one fish you lose and the ones I have lost, I did the same thing. I put tinsel on, but those have been good.
Yeah, no, the that's the problem with any type of soft plastic spinnerbait, is that you always have just at the beginning of the year, buy a bunch of the smallest zip ties you can find.
Yeah.
And just before you even put them in the water, just zip tie them. And because you'll come back, you'll catch a fish, and all of a sudden your net you'll just see strings of skirt.
Yep, all over your boat.
Yeah, sinking. You're like, what did that? And you look, and you make a cast, and all the skirt just flies off.
I'm going to tell you a story. This was up in Lake of the Woods. It wasn't this particular one, but it was a pink one, just like the same size and everything. So we were up there. This is 10 years ago or whatever. And I was throwing this, and I hooked into a fish, fighting it. And I was, bam, snapped my line. I'm like, oh, damn, that sucks. Came back into the cabin, and we told the guys we were with what happened, what blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. 2 days later, they're out there trolling. They catch my line, get the fish in, two islands away from where I lost it. We come in for lunch. My bait is sitting on the table in our room. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
So they pulled it in by hand?
Yeah. They came in
nice.
and they're like, isn't that unbelievable? We hooked your line, got the fish. It was like a 38-inch tiger. Got the fish and my bait. I mean, what are the odds of someone in your cabin in Lake of the Woods, your line trolling?
Yeah.
That's just kind of a miracle. But yeah, that one's already gone. I've caught a lot of fish. I go through those pretty quick. I mean, it's not a bait that lasts forever. That's for sure.
No, we had that actually. As my only story about that is we were on Detroit Lakes many summers ago, and one of my clients, Bob Matuzik. Bob, I know you're listening. We're fishing shallow and we're throwing a black nickel junior cowgirl, and this was back when DL was the big ones were really going out there. And he sets the hook and the water just kind of blows up, sloshing all over the hell. And we're out there fishing, and then and his line breaks. And it wasn't my rod, Bob, it was your rod. And the line, I'm trying to remember, I almost think we see the line floating. I think we seen it floating and grab it, and he pulls it in. It was a 51-incher.
Wow.
That we hand pulled in on a black nickel cowgirl, but it wasn't 2 days later. That's the interesting part is and especially on Lake of the Woods. I mean, hell,
I know it's pretty insane story.
That's a total needle in a haystack there. But you got another thing there you're showing.
This is the new Muskie's Innovation. Small little swim dog, and we put a little blade on there. And this one's been putting a lot of fish in the boat too. Real easy bait over the weeds. Just a great size right now. So
yeah, what size blade's that? Like a 6 or something?
That's a 6, yeah.
Yeah, and just
they were selling them right at the show. At the Muskie shows, they were selling them. So
now, if you try
the perch with the orange blade has been really putting some fish in the boat.
Now, are you keeping it over the weeds and then slowing it down when you get on the edge, or
Yep. Telling them to drop. And actually, about 2 weeks ago, when it was still somewhat warm, we went out and were just using them out on suspended fish and getting some fish out there when they were finding them, but keeping them pretty high actually then. But right now, we're just slow rolling them off the deep weeds.
Huh. Yeah, right before I left Kentucky, we were getting some fish on swimming dogs, but not with the blade on there.
Mm-hmm. The 6-inch?
No, actually, the regular swimming dog, not the shallow. In the what is that, like 8-inch? I guess the regular size.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what those are.
Not the biggest one. Not the big standard, but yeah, no, not that, and not even the 10-inch. I don't think, but like the smaller, the size.
Oh yeah. Okay, so yeah, I thought those. Yeah, because I guess that's 6 inches. So maybe 7, 8-inch. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Whatever used to be the small one.
Right. Okay.
Is what we.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Is what we were catching them on, and I always thought I figure that size there in the Eagle River tournament we got coming up should be.
Mm-hmm.
Something. I got a bunch of colors in those. I'm gonna definitely put those out and see how the fish react to those things and see how it goes. But what is it? What kind of how do you see the rest of the year going? What's your predictions?
Actually, I'm kind of excited for this. Whenever we warm up here, I think it's going to get really good. Summer. I guess they're predicting a cold, wet summer, so we'll see. I thought they were full of shit, a month ago, but they're pretty dead on right now. I mean, waking up to 37 and yesterday pouring rain and 53, it was pretty miserable, and it's not typical June weather, but we'll see. But I think a nice heat wave, things should start rocking.
How is for you up there? have you noticed? Well, you probably had a bunch of them, but cloudy days versus sunny days. If you can get some sunshine, has that been helping?
Well, the only sun we've really been having a lot of is when it was really warm. Now it's gotten cold. We've had a lot of wind, I'll tell you that much. It's been a very windy year. But the
That was
sun,
the
no,
south.
I'm sure like today, I didn't have to fish today and it was pretty sunny. I'm sure after yesterday, it would have been a better day to be out on the water. But
How now has the wind been something that's really been affecting how you're fishing, or
yeah, on certain days, because it's been really windy, it's tougher on the bigger bodies of water, but it has been showing us where fish, those windier shorelines have been holding more fish that are willing to move. So,
yeah? So it definitely seems to be that you are chasing the wind if you can,
mhm,
without being too ridiculous. I'm
yep.
sure.
I mean,
Uh,
it's been odd. There's been some days we go and everything's like on the back wind side of like a hump or something, and but then the next day they're right back into the wind. So you
mhm.
almost got to check both of them. It's kind of surprising. You would always think anytime there's wind blowing on a hump or an island or something, everything's going to be on that wind. But certain days, it just surprises you. You go else and everything's hiding in the backside.
Yeah, nothing pisses me off more if I have to cast into the wind. I'm not a
Yeah, no,
fan.
especially certain lures.
Yeah, exactly, because they land behind me.
Mm.
I do not like casting into the wind. Now,
Or
how did you said
somehow.
you were in the muskie hunter school there? Kind of how did that go? That would have been a couple of weeks ago. How did that go for you?
That was a tough bite too. I mean, the first night, Sirik's boat, they got a 47, I think it was, or 46, 47, and a 38, and they were suspended fishing, um, 30, 40 feet of water. I think they got one on a swim dog and something else shallow. The fish typically in June are on that top 10, 15 foot of water out in deep water, and they got lucky enough to get two nice fish, but those were the two biggest ones for the whole weekend. The rest of them were all mid 30s. It was a tough bite. Um,
Did the weather change much?
yeah, it was still warm then. It was hot. And
Yeah,
I'm trying to think back when that cold front hit. I think it hit right after that. So
yeah, it dropped
that's
here.
yeah, that when that hunter school was going on, that they were really there was actually a lot of fish off the break at the time. You could see
Okay.
them on side imaging, swimming off the breaks, but now like everything is just tucked in those with this cold front, how it's been cold, they're just so deep in those weeds right now.
What would you tell somebody if they were coming up, let's say for the weekend or in the next week or so? What would be the advice you would give them?
Well, I've been, we're always looking at the weather, and it's supposed to pick up nothing incredibly warm, but in the low 70s. So things might, everything's changing this time of year. But what I would tell someone is just kind of grind those weeds out. Start off grinding those weeds. Like we were talking earlier, just make sure you're digging into them, tipping them, even if it's a tail, just kind of snapping your rod, getting those weeds off. Any glider, crankbait, getting them down in those weeds, because this last week they were so tucked in those weeds. We could get a fish or two out, caught a fish or two out of them, but I'd watch them just come out and turn around, go right back in. But you have to be in their face and then slow down. Don't fly your boat Mach 5 going down the shoreline. Really take your time working them weeds. You got to get those fish. I think the bait has to land right in front of their face.
Sure,
And
sure.
then check out deep. This is probably one of the best times of the year, end of June, for getting some of those suspended fish out there. Look for the bait, go off those deeper humps out there, look for some fish out there, but don't fish too deep. They're going to be up on the top surface. So.
Yeah.
I imagine top water should start. We haven't had much top water action yet, but I'm sure, it should start once this heat wave kicks in and things start getting a little normal here.
Yeah, as the water temperature begins to
Yeah.
crank up a little bit, I'm sure that's something that, I think it sounds like you guys need some sunshine. That
Yeah,
would be nice.
and that's what we're going to get. It's not going to get really warm, but I mean, low to mid 70s and some sun we're getting, so it should pick things up.
Yeah, the solar heating. I know that's a
Mhm.
big deal. But Well, Bryan, how can somebody get a hold of you if they want to do some fishing?
You could go on my website. It's SchaefferOutdoors.com, or you could call me at 920-915-2650.
All right. Well, good deal, man. Well, here at the end, I just want to mention also that, guys, if you are looking to maybe pick up some musky baits or upgrade your electronics, rods, reels, anything like that, check out Thorn Brothers, thornbros.com. They got a huge selection, great website, super easy. If I can navigate it, anybody can. Check it out. They've also got apparel, the fly angler there as well if you're into the fly fishing. That is plenty of stuff to check out. Also, if you're looking for electronics, I'm telling you, there's no better people to talk to about electronics than them. They know a lot about that stuff. And my buddy down at Crash's Landing, check his stuff out. He's got the lasso lures down there that he makes. Also got some different stuff that you may only find in the South. You can check out his website at crasheslanding.com. Bryan, I really appreciate you coming on here and talking a little bit. It sounds like fishing's been tough, but it'll get better.
It will.
This too shall pass, is
Correct.
what I always say when it comes to stuff. But hang on the line here a little bit for me, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, Greg.